Hello and welcome to the Living Life Short Discourses on the Greatest Call channel. Folks, like you all do know, your mind is the most enigmatic, puzzling organ ever known to this beautiful spaceship hurtling through the cosmos, about 1,000 miles per hour. You and me, we call home. The planet Earth. We do have to constantly remind ourselves that you, me, we are all passengers of this beautiful spaceship. So, seeing the bigger picture, we cannot help ourselves but to be grateful. And then we cannot be bogged down by little things, little worries in life. Your mind, my mind, defined as the activities of the brain, some call it software of the brain. We would rather use the word psyche as the closest to the mind. Folks, your mind, your psyche, my mind, our minds are very impressionable. Simply meaning they could be externally influenced by our senses. And the more sensory perceptions involved, the deeper and more lasting the impression, and also the more effective. Again, the more we involve the senses in etched, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, the more effective and lasting the impressions are. The reason video advertising are more effective than radio, as it involves two senses, i.e. seeing and hearing, whereas radio is just hearing, basically, just one of the five senses we have. And more especially when constantly repeated, the more effective it is. This knowledge is what corporations and various establishments depend on for advertising. Their products and services, folks. Constant repetition. Repeat, and again, repeat. Companies like Meta, Meta, parent company for social media like Facebook, Instagram, and others. Alphabet, parent company for Google, YouTube, and many others. And TV and radio stations are all thriving financially because of impressions. Impressions, folks. Impressions. And not surprisingly, that is the exact word they use. By the technicians and their leaders and those who do the engineering of the algorithms. That is the word they use. Impressions. It's not surprising. They are very woke. They study the human mind and how it works. The reason they are becoming very successful, they have become and they continue to do so. They know, whilst a lot of us, even with this knowledge, still it doesn't mean diddly squat to them, or it doesn't mean diddly squat to us. They are constantly bombarding your psyche, my psyche, to be influenced. Constant bombardment, constant repetition. With this knowledge comes the responsibility of guiding and guarding our minds, our psyche, our software from bugs or viruses, i.e., unwanted impressions. Let us be on guard against these sometimes unwelcome encroachments on our minds. All waking hours and the sleep hours would definitely take care of itself. It's really good at that. The subconscious, once you keep the gate of the subconscious, which is through the conscious mind, like we've learned on this channel, this subconscious will go ahead to do its work whilst you sleep. Okay, now, the most formidable fortress we can build depends on two main steps. Number one, to significantly reduce screen time, our computers, phones, iPads, televisions, as much as we can, folks, as much as we can. And when we do, we should watch healthy comedy. Comedies are great. It releases a lot of stress, increases dopamine, which is very good for you, good for me as well, folks. And educative programs, we should do so ad-free. Mostly they provide these services by paying extra. If we can, we should pay extra so we can have these services ad-free, so we can just go for what we want rather than be inundated at the level of our psyche with unwanted advertising. Number two, we should constantly impress and suffuse our minds with what we want, like we keep on repeating on this channel. Just, by constantly, we can do so by constantly rewriting our goals in the present tense, or better still, visualizing them. And giving gratitude, incessant gratitude, coupled with giving, like we talked about, can solve most life challenges. Or if there are barely any solutions available, then it means there are lessons needed for our evolution, our spiritual and mental growth. In this case, by constantly giving genuine gratitude and being generous to all living things, we shall be fortified with the right amount of courage to learn from the challenge instead of retreating like a weakling or a coward. Ultimate consciousness shall fortify us with the strength to do so once we are giving genuine gratitude and being generous to all living things on this planet. The stronger the gate or the fortress we build against these constant bombardments, the less impressionable we are and we would be. Again, the stronger the gate or fortress we do build against this constant bombardment, the less impressionable we will be. And that fortress, the foundation of which is always built, or mostly built, by constantly impressing our minds, psyche, with what we most desire. Folks, the reticular cortex, or the reticular formation, which regulate consciousness, will show or sift through all the external impressions and show us the ones that you and me have chosen to impress our minds. It always does. Very good at what it does. Very good. You see, the reason immediately you make up your mind to, say, buy a black Mercedes S-Class with a tan leather, you start seeing that car more frequently than before. And it's not that everyone suddenly, decided to drive that car, or they were not on the roads before. No. They were kind of background, I would say, to the mind, to your mind, to my mind. But now, just like a missile launched to a particular coordinate, it can and it shall sift through the bunch of chaffs to the target, or the chaffs to the target. In this case, the visualized or the constantly rewritten goal of having a black Mercedes S-Class with a tan leather. Your reticular cortex or formation, folks, my reticular cortex functions similarly. And especially with kids, for parents, they are even more impressionable, because the fortress against these having been well built, still under construction. Give me a child until he's 7, and I will show you the man. So goes the Greek philosopher Aristotle. So let's surround our kids with books, great learning materials, and play in nature, and let's reduce unwanted external impressions from the now almost uncountable media establishment we do have on our beautiful spaceship. Most importantly, let's use the first and last 15 minutes of waking, which our minds are most impressionable, to give gratitude to our maker, my maker, your maker, folks, and impress our mind with the objects or conditions desired. Folks, in concluding, your mind, psyche, my mind, is the most powerful organ ever known to us. Consequently, with great power comes, of course, great responsibility. Let guard against unwanted impressions whilst simultaneously suffusing with what we want to see in our lives. And only 15 minutes before and after slumber can and will do this magic. To be committed and disciplined to a goal is to do thus. Once again, this was the Living Life Short Discourses on the Greatest Call program. And again, remember to guard your mind against the onslaught of unwanted sensory perceptions. A très bientôt. We shall see you all very soon.